Welcome to developmental psychology. So, what we're going to do is we're going to spend a couple minutes walking through our biosocial development, chapter 8 on early childhood. To start off with, chapter 8 dives into the obesity epidemic that we are seeing, globesity, and how it is affecting even our young kids. So that's going to be your assignment. Is I'm going to show you guys here in just a little bit how I want you to go to ProQuest eLibrary, do some reading over childhood obesity, and write a summary over one of those articles that you're going to read. But let's go ahead and walk through some of the important stuff from chapter 8 that will be on your test. So the first one is the obesity among children. It ties into socioeconomic status. Many times we see in poverty, children that are in poverty here in the United States tend to be more obese. You can have people that are wealthy that have children that are obese, but the reason being for a larger percentage, the higher majority of low socioeconomic status children tending to be obese is the food that they're eating. Many times they are eating fast food, the lack of activity, more TV, more sugary soft drinks, juices. Sometimes parents don't know any better. Sometimes parents can't afford. Many times they are sitting in front of a TV when parents might be at work, or they are not in a safe neighborhood where they can get out and go play. They don't have time, the stress there. And so obesity is on the increase. In our textbook, it talks about 14% of 2 to 5 year olds are in the obese category, 18% of 6 to 11 year olds. And 21% of 12 to 19 year olds in the United States are obese. When children are obese, it can also lead into childhood depression. It affects kids. We can also go into talk about nutritional deficiencies that kids have. Of course, lack of iron. I know with coaching cross country, one of the number one things that you need to test in teenagers is iron deficiency, seeing if they are low in iron. Kids that are running, kids that are moving. If you are low in iron, you have you just feel lethargic. You have no energy. Kids need to be eating lots of green, leafy vegetables, and that's the things the kids don't want to eat. Our textbook also goes in and talking about citrus fruits, oranges, eating in a sense, the rainbow and not the Skittles, but eating healthy food that is a variety of colors. Some other information that our textbook goes in, it talks about, the importance of going to the dentist at an early age, children having their teeth checked to make sure that they don't have cavities, brushing their teeth well, how important oral health is for our young kids. The other one is allergies. What do you think would be some of the most common allergies for young children? The first one that normally comes to my mind is peanuts. A peanut allergy, but you can also go into like the red dye. You can go into eggs. You can go into gluten. But children are becoming more allergic to various foods. I think that at the very end of allergies and food on page 200, where it goes and it talks about fast food and how many children are eating fast food. But if kids would cut out this highly processed fast food, they could see a decrease in symptoms such as asthma, nasal congestion, watery eyes, and itchy skin allergies. Like if you have kids with eczema, you have kids with severe allergy issues. Eating healthy food could be the cure for that. And it's like, whoa, why don't we do this? And anyways, we don't. The other one goes into our brain, talking about what is happening in early childhood in the brain. One of the interesting things is blah 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 myelination. There we go, myelination. And that's the lateralization of the brain, the left and the right hemispheres in a sense, and seeing what is happening there. If you look at the definition, the process by which axons become coated with myelin. So if you think back to intro to psychology, where we were learning the parts of a neuron and the dendrites and the axons and how our axons could be coded in the myelin sheath. And that is what increases the communication speed between those axons. So them communicating with one another. And that is what they are talking about on page 201 in your textbook. The other one is anybody in here in the class left-handed? I am not. I am right-handed, but I have two people in my family that are left-handed. And our textbook goes in and it talks about the interesting part of many people that would be on the creative side tend to be left-handed. What does psychology say? What causes people to be right-handed, left-handed? One theory that they have on left-handedness is the way the baby is laying in the womb as they're developing. So like if they were laying more on the right side and then they were using their, left hand, that they might be more left-handed, or if they were laying more on the left side and they were using more. But that once again is a theory. Of course, we have people that, use both hands the same. And so reading about the lateralization of the brain, which side you're using and how important, the lateralization of the brain is and how that's developing in that early childhood years. The other one that I wanted us to talk about is stress. Small amounts of stress is a good thing. So even with young children, going through small amounts of stress can be a good thing. That helicopter parenting, the snowplow parenting, that is not a healthy strategy for kids. Kids need to, learn from, hard things, but at the same time, not too hard. They do need a support system there. They need a family there to support them. Another one is gross motor development. Are kids getting enough of that running and jumping and the large movement? Playing on a playground. You think of how playgrounds are invented for that gross motor movement, and then fine motor movement. The fine skills. It seems like girls, as an overall rule, develop fine motor skills sooner than boys. And you go back to and you think of toys that girls are playing with versus toys that boys are playing with, and does that tie into it, or is it a difference in the brain development? I think of boys and I think of Legos, and that's most definitely fine motor development. If you've ever been around, I've been around kids before, that you have exactly the same age, and one young boy can do Legos and put them together, and another one is like, I don't have this ability whatsoever. If you're working with a kindergartner or first grader and they are trying to use a pair of scissors, watching them, try to, use their fingers and make the scissors cut, seeing those fine motor skills, and the way their brains are working. Whenever you go into harm that comes to kids, it says more kids are harmed by violence and accidents than disease. That is absolutely heartbreaking. Like, we have control over the violence, we as people, and then accidents also at the same time. We need to protect our kids. Many kids here in the United States, the leading cause of death is drowning. Having those gates, watching your kids closely, making sure that they are not close to water where that drowning can happen. Kids today can also be taken to emergency rooms, die because of poisoning. Many times the poisoning can be in-home products that are just there, cosmetics. I knew of a young girl years ago that mother had been cleaning her nails and had left the, nail cleaner out. And the little girl, it was in a little cup, and the little girl came by and drank that, and how dangerous that was. You hear of little kids all the time that get underneath the kitchen sink and, get the pods that are there for the dishwashing, and how dangerous those chemicals are as children are ingesting and eating those. The other one goes into maltreatment that is happening in homes with kids, abuse, neglect. In our textbook, it talks about signs of maltreatment. So like if anybody in here is like, I am thinking of more that social work side and knowing what those signs are. But even if you're not the social work in your education, if you are wanting to do counseling, knowing what those signs are that it talks about on page 214 for maltreatment. The last thing at the very end of chapter 8 that I want you guys to be aware of is the permanency planning. So kids that have been in foster care, coming up with a permanent home, after after the foster care. And then the beautiful one, one of my favorite, is kinship care. And of course, you hear kinship and you're like, okay, so that's grandma taking care of a child that has been taken away, aunts, uncles. But kinship care could even be somebody in the church. If they go to a church, it could be somebody, a school teacher, somebody that already has an established relationship. I'm sorry, I'm talking to a student outside my class, but someone that has an established relationship with the child could be considered that kinship care while they are figuring out what needs to be done. So with that being said, that is a very quick 10-minute walkthrough. I told you guys we would be fast. A 10-minute walkthrough with chapter 8. But I do want you guys to complete an assignment. Let's go ahead. Hopefully you're watching this on Tuesday, February 21st. So let's go ahead and say that I want this turned in by Thursday, by February 23rd. And what I would like for you guys to do is I'm going to do a screen share. So let me see if I can make that happen. Screen share. And we are going to go to our Carl Albert page. So let me see if I can make this work the way I want it to. Perfect. Okay, so I am going to move this over just a little bit. Perfect. I think this is doing what I want it to. Sorry. Just about there. I see what I need. Okay, so you're going to go to the Joe E. White Library. From there, I would like for you to scroll down and click on Databases. You have been here before. From there, I would like for you to scroll down and click on eLibrary. You can use the eLibrary, the ProQuest. I'm going to go ahead and go to the ProQuest. And then I am going to type in childhood obesity. It does not have to be a scholarly journal. So here I have a list of childhood competitive food sales in schools. Do school lunches contribute to childhood obesity? We're losing the battle for childhood obesity. I would like for you to pick one of these links. I would like for you to read it and then write a summary over it. I would also like, let me see if I can get us back here. Welcome. Okay, I would also like for that to be in that APA format. So I want a title page, a body page, and then the reference page. So it should be 3 pages long: title page, body page, and reference page. And I would like this turned in on Blackboard. There will be a link for this assignment right underneath this video there in that Start Working Chapter 8-9. This will be due on Thursday, February 23rd. Let's go ahead and just go with the end of the day since we will not be meeting on that day. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure you're reading Chapter 8 and 9. And when we come back next Tuesday, I will want you to turn in your 3 facts for chapters 8 and 9 together. Those two can be combined together. We will be covering chapter 10 when we come back that Tuesday. We will also be reviewing for our test that day, so be filling in your study guide. Your study guide is in Blackboard underneath the study guide tabs. If you guys have any questions, shoot me an email. Thank you. Bye.